Bill 183 is just a continuation of the law enforcement reform we've started over the last few years to try to make sure that everything we do around the state is as professional and positive as possible. And working with the Georgia Sheriff Association, we found an area that we thought we could improve, and basically all it does is require that for anyone to qualify to run for sheriff, they must be a post-certified law enforcement officer in good standing to qualify and run. The danger of not having this is that someone comes out and runs, they fail the police academy, and without that certification, eventually the probate judge could declare the office vacant because they don't meet the qualifications of a post-certified law enforcement officer and would have to call for a special election. Every sheriff in the state of Georgia that I'm aware of carries a post-certification, and I know every deputy sheriff does. The only ones that do not carry it within an agency would be any administrative personnel or those assigned permanently to the jail as correctional officers. But this is just another step in the right direction of making sure that we have the most professional law enforcement officers in the state, especially our chief law enforcement officers in the 159 counties.
I get this to come on. Do we have any questions for Senator Robertson? Any questions? You said you had someone to speak to the bill?
Director Terry Norris from Georgia Sheriff Association is here.
Sounds good.
Mr. Chairman, I don't want to overtalk the bill. Senator did an excellent job explaining it. This is something that the sheriffs have sought for a few years now. We hadn't had legislation in a few years, but we have talked about it, and they've been interested in doing it for a lot of times. The one thing that was not mentioned is, if you think about it, if you're a non-certified person and you qualify to run for sheriff and you're fortunate enough to win that election and you've never been in law enforcement and you don't really know what the sheriff's office that you just won does or the people in that sheriff's office do, then would be quite difficult to be gone for 13 weeks of the first 24 weeks you were in office, because as the law requires now, you must be certified within 6 months after having taken office. So if you think about it that way, a person that's totally inexperienced, not knowledgeable about law enforcement or the office of sheriff, can't even be there at the beginning of his or her term to even learn the basics of how that office operates. So we thank you for your time today to hear this, and we hope that this committee and this chairman might mention to Chairman Collins that the full committee might could hear it. So thank you.
All right, thank you. I think we got one question for you. Number 9, is that you? Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Senator Taylor.
Just a quick question. What if somebody previously had been if you had someone that was a deputy and then they left for a couple of years or whatever and they wanted to come back, would they not be qualified? They were one 5 years ago and now they want to run. Would they be able to run?
Yes, ma'am, they would if their certification had not been revoked. Okay. And once you get certified, if you retire, you still got your certification. However, you've got annual in-service training that you need to maintain. So in that case or that example, that person would be able to catch up that training or get a waiver for the years he or she didn't get training, and then certainly be eligible as long as they were in good standing with post counsel.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you kindly.
Thank you. Any other question? Well, we thank both of y'all for coming. I will talk to Chairman Collins and we'll see if we get things going. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, next I think we have Senator Harper with HB, no, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm used to that thing. Senate Bill 198. Go ahead, Senator Harper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'd be kind of confused on how I could introduce an HB, but I do have an SB for you today, Senate Bill 198. This is a bill, kind of I guess you could kind of call it a cleanup bill, so to speak, in regards to the Department of Public Safety. It does just a couple of things. It moves certain provisions into another code section for better conformity under the law, and within our code section, it changes the board to commissioner. And in most of the provisions in this particular bill, it removes the credit hours and the amounts in regards to incentive pay and what you can get if you have a certain degree level that's in current code. It takes that out and leaves that decision to the commissioner. So it's very similar to current law. It just makes some conforming changes and replaces and gives the discretion to the commissioner instead of the board to give the commissioner more flexibility. So therefore, if this General Assembly decided to appropriate funds for this type of incentive for members of the Department of Public Safety, that the commissioner would have the flexibility to provide those to the members of his agency. So that's the basis of this particular bill, Mr. Chairman. That's what it does, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that the committee may have.
Thank you, Senator Harper. Do we have any questions? All right, we got a question. Representative Crowe.
Thank you. In section 2 on page 2, it talks about all members of the uniform division, all communications officers and all recruits or cadets shall be governed by the rules and regulations as now or hereafter established. Is that something that needs to apply to the Motor Carrier Compliance Division and the Capitol Police Division? Just because I know we've got another bill I'm working on related to retirement, and I know this section only speaks to the uniform division. So
I believe that to your statement, I believe the uniform, that would include everybody under that particular section. It already does, yes, sir.
Okay, because I think the thing we've been working with the retirements issue is the uniform division is only the state patrol, and the uniform division doesn't cover the Motor Carrier Compliance Division or Capitol Police Division.
So I think I know where you're going. Let me clarify. Let me back up just a second. So when I said that we moved this into a different code section for better conformity, so what you're seeing there is current law.
Right.
So that's not struck through. It's not underlined. That's Georgia law today. And that only deals with that particular section. I'm sure if we go into the code and dug into all of the other provisions in the Department of Public Safety, there may be certain provisions like that, but you know, we can look into that. But that's not what we did, though, is by moving this, striking and moving, it allowed this to be for all those that are covered under the Department of Public Safety, Capitol Police, to MCCD, I just said motor carrier, and the Georgia State Patrol. So I think I know where you were heading with that question. I don't think that nothing in this treats one entity different than the other, and that was part of the reason it was moved. But what is current law? That's something that there are different code sections relating to some of that. That's something we would have to look at, but nothing in this is construed or is it's written in a way that it would impact all those entities under the department equally.
Right, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I saw in the beginning of it, it's all listed in there, and it does cover all
That's
of it.
right.
They have the same benefits. I apologize, I didn't get a chance to read Chapter 20 of Title 45 in that section too, so I wasn't sure exactly what, I knew what was being struck. I didn't know what, if we needed to just add those divisions into this portion, if it would make a difference.
I don't think we do, because I think current law covers all of that already, even though it might not be specified in that particular provision. And I appreciate some of the work that you're doing on some of that. I'm aware of that, and look forward to doing what I can to help you going forward.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you. We have another question. Senator Jackson?
Still representative.
Representative. I'm getting that all mixed up today.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're giving everybody a bump today.
Well, I am. I don't know about that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Maybe that answers the question sent on line 11. I'm looking here on line 11 and 12.
Yes,
Under
sir.
what conditions would these subsistence and per diems allowance be for an employee of the department?
Mainly, this is geared toward Representative Jackson. It's mainly geared toward the ability for the commissioner and the department, what current law already allows. This just gives the authority to the commissioner the ability to provide that in cases of individuals obtaining a higher level of education, such as a master's degree. And you know, many of our troopers across the state, you know, to be a Georgia State trooper and to be a motor carrier compliance officer, a Capitol Police officer, you're only required to have a high school education. We have found, and there's been research that has been conducted and done, that individuals that receive higher levels of education in law enforcement, they're more proactively able to do their job in a more effective and efficient way, and a safer way for not only themselves but also the community and the state and the locality in which they work. And so the state apparently in the past had decided that it was even though we didn't fund it in the appropriations process, we had decided that this was something that we felt was important, that a higher level of education deserved a higher level of pay. And so what we're doing is just readdressing this and fixing the code to where it gives discretion to the commissioner and how this is set up, instead of having set hours and set amounts in the code. And then if we decide, we could put instructing language in the budget and also provide an appropriations in the budget to fund this if we so choose as the General Assembly, and it would give him that flexibility to be able to implement this with their personnel in the department. Does that answer your question?
That does. Thank you,
Okay.
Senator.
All right, we have another question. Representative Taylor?
Thank you. Just a quick, has this been a problem? Is anything with the pandemic and they're working extra hours or anything, has this become a problem?
No, ma'am, it's not necessarily a problem. This is just, I'll just be honest with you, this is just another tool in the toolbox for the department in regards to recruiting and retention. The employees of the department, you have some employees that have worked for the department for 15 or 20 years that, you know, they didn't go the NCO route and get promoted through the NCO route, but they have higher levels of educations, and they've either obtained a master trooper or senior trooper level, or have went to school on their own time and got a associate's or a bachelor's or a master's degree. This is just a way that the department can incentivize those individuals who may not decide to go the NCO route but want to better themselves in another way. And this would give the department the ability to do that and help with recruitment and retention in the process.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Have another question?
Not so much a question, but I remember back in 1972, when I went to work as a state trooper, that we were trying to get some pay incentives in place to
Yes, sir.
help compensate those of us who chose to get bachelor's degree, associate's degree, bachelor's degree, further degrees of education. And this is far, far overdue.
Yes, sir.
And I thank you for bringing this legislation.
My pleasure.
We need to do something about it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Representative Lemson. Any other questions? Well, I think we need to entertain a motion. I have a motion. I have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Passes. Thank you, sir.
Perfect. Well, I
Yes.
look forward to hearing from the chairman and look forward to having it in full committee. Thank you very much
Sounds
to all
good.
of you. Thank y'all. Good to see you.
Thank you, Senator.
sir.
We are dismissed.